Humanity is about to build its first permanent home on the Moon. This is not a distant dream, but a concrete plan unfolding at the lunar South Pole, a place of eternal shadows and hidden ice that could fuel our future in space. By the end of this exploration, you will understand exactly how we will construct a self-sustaining outpost on another world, overcoming cosmic radiation, brutal temperatures, and the vacuum of space. We will uncover the robots building our lunar foundation and the closed-loop systems that will turn moon dust into air and water. What does it truly take for our species to plant permanent roots beyond Earth? Shackleton Crater holds a secret in its perpetual darkness, a treasure locked away from the sun for billions of years. This is where we find water, not as a liquid, but as ancient ice preserved in the permanently shadowed depths. This ice is far more than frozen water. It is the cornerstone of our lunar future. It can be split into hydrogen and oxygen, providing both breathable air for astronauts and powerful rocket fuel. A rocket launching from the Moon to Mars, for instance, would need significantly less fuel than one launching from Earth, making the Moon the perfect interplanetary gas station. But the South Pole's allure does not end with hidden ice. Just a short distance from these frigid craters, certain mountain peaks are bathed in near-continuous sunlight. These are known as peaks of eternal light, and they offer a consistent, abundant source of solar energy. This combination is extraordinary. Power and resources exist within mere kilometers of each other. Scientists view this landscape as a frozen time capsule, preserving a record of the comets and asteroids that have bombarded the inner solar system. For strategic planners, this location is the ultimate stepping stone, a proving ground and launch pad for humanity's expansion deeper into the cosmos. This perfect convergence of necessity and opportunity makes the lunar South Pole the only logical place to begin. Establishing a foothold here, however, requires more than just engineering. It demands a new kind of international cooperation, a framework for how we will collectively operate on this new world. This spirit of unity is now being forged into a tangible agreement among nations. The Artemis Accords represent a profound shift in how humanity approaches a new world, creating a shared rulebook for lunar exploration and development. Think of it as a global handshake in the void of space, where countries agree to operate peacefully, transparently, and responsibly. These principles are not just lofty ideals, they are practical necessities. They ensure that when a Japanese rover and an European lander are operating near each other, they communicate to avoid collisions. They commit all signatories to protecting historic sites, like the Apollo landing areas, preserving our common heritage for generations to come. And critically, they mandate the open sharing of scientific data, so a discovery made by one nation becomes a leap forward for all. This international framework, spearheaded by NASA but embraced by space agencies from Europe, Japan, Canada, and many others, is what makes a permanent base feasible. No single country could shoulder the immense financial burden and technical complexity alone. By pooling resources, funding, and specialized expertise, this global partnership transforms an impossible dream into an achievable project. It lays a foundation of shared destiny, ensuring the lunar outpost is built as a beacon for all humanity. And the first entities to arrive under this celestial banner will not be human but robotic. These robotic precursors are our eyes and hands on a world we cannot yet safely inhabit. Before we can build, we must first understand, and that understanding will be delivered by a fleet of autonomous machines. Leading this charge is a rover named Viper, a mobile laboratory designed for one critical mission. It will journey directly into the permanently shadowed craters, places no machine has ever gone before, to answer the single most important question. How much water is actually there? Viper will not just look at the surface, it will drill down, extracting core samples of the lunar soil to analyze the precise form and concentration of the ice. Is it mixed with the soil as fine crystals, or does it exist in large, pure patches? The answer dictates the entire industrial process for harvesting it. These scouts are equipped with more than just drills. Advanced spectrometers will scan the ground, identifying chemical signatures from orbit, while ground-penetrating radar will peer meters below the surface, creating a three-dimensional map of the subsurface. They are searching for more than just water. They are identifying every potential danger, from treacherous slopes and giant boulders to the stability of the ground itself. The data they beam back to Earth will be the ultimate guidebook. It will pinpoint the absolute safest landing zone for the massive cargo landers, the exact spot with the richest deposit of water ice for the processing plant, and the most stable, sunlit plateau for the habitat modules. Every decision, from the orientation of a solar panel to the thickness of a wall, will be informed by the painstaking work of these robotic pioneers. Their success is not just a preliminary step, it is the very foundation upon which all human safety depends. And with that foundation laid, we can begin to envision the structure that will rise upon it. The habitat that will shelter the first lunar residents is a marvel of integrated design, a structure where every curve and conduit serves a dual purpose. Picture a cluster of modules, their shapes rounded and smooth, half buried beneath the gray lunar soil. They are connected by a network of pressurized tunnels, creating a high-tech subterranean village designed not just for survival, but for living. This is not a simple shelter, it is a lifeboat in a sea of radiation and vacuum, and its design must solve multiple lethal problems at once. The primary threat is cosmic radiation, a constant, invisible rain of high-energy particles from deep space that can damage human cells and lead to long-term health issues. On Earth, our atmosphere and magnetic field shield us, but on the Moon, the habitat itself must become our shield. Burying the modules under meters of regolith, the loose layer of dust and rock on the surface, is the most effective solution, turning the Moon's own soil into a protective barrier. This same layer also defends against the other ever-present danger, micrometeorites. These tiny, sand-like particles travel at incredible speeds and could puncture an unprotected wall in an instant. The regolith acts as a bulletproof vest, absorbing the impact. Inside, the habitat is a sanctuary of Earth-like conditions. The walls must maintain a stable internal pressure against the utter vacuum outside, a constant, quiet battle of engineering. Temperature control is another relentless challenge, with the external environment swinging from scorching heat in sunlight to deep cold in shadow. The shell of the habitat is a complex insulator, maintaining a shirt-sleeve environment within. But a fortress is not a home. The psychological well-being of the crew is as critical as the air they breathe. These modules will include dedicated, personalized areas for sleeping, spaces that feel private and restorative. There will be bright, well-equipped laboratories for research, communal areas for shared meals and social interaction, and dedicated modules for exercise to maintain muscle and bone density in the low gravity. The goal is to create a home away from home in the most extreme environment imaginable. To achieve this, the very construction methods are revolutionary. Concepts range from inflatable structures that launch compactly from Earth and expand to several times their size on the lunar surface, to the visionary use of 3D printing robots that use the regolith itself as a building material, sintering the soil into solid, durable walls. The resilience of this entire outpost, however, depends entirely on the complex, closed-loop life support systems humming within its walls. This miniature Earth in a can is the beating heart of the entire lunar outpost. It is a symphony of chemical and biological processes, all working in perfect harmony to sustain human life where no life should be. The air you exhale, filled with carbon dioxide, does not go to waste. It is captured by a sophisticated system, often using solid amines or similar chemical scrubbers, which strip the carbon dioxide from the cabin atmosphere. That captured gas is then fed into a separate unit where an electric current, through a process called electrolysis, splits it apart. The oxygen is released back into the habitat for you to breathe again, while the carbon can be used to help grow plants. This is how every breath becomes a renewable resource. Water follows an even more intricate cycle. Every drop is precious. The moisture you exhale and even the sweat from your skin is captured by the air conditioning system, condensed and purified. The water you use to wash, and yes, the water recovered from urine, all goes through a multi-stage purification process involving filters and reactors that break down contaminants. The result is water so pure it is cleaner than what comes from most taps on Earth, perfectly safe for drinking, cooking, and replenishing the hydroponic gardens. And within those gardens lies another critical layer of the loop. Racks of lush green plants growing without soil under glowing LED lights do more than just provide fresh food. They are living air filters, naturally absorbing carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. They take the recycled water and nutrients, and through the magic of photosynthesis, they transform them into strawberries, lettuce, and tomatoes, while also contributing to the psychological well-being of the crew. This entire delicate ballet of life requires an immense and constant supply of energy. Without a reliable power grid, the air recyclers stop, the water purifiers fall silent, and the lights in the garden fade to black. The entire system must run continuously, every second of every lunar day and night, for years on end. A small nuclear reactor hums with quiet power beside vast fields of solar panels, a hybrid energy system built for a world of extremes. This is the power plant of the future, and its steady output is the lifeblood coursing through the lunar base. Every single system depends on this energy. The air recyclers that scrub carbon dioxide from the cabin, the water purifiers that reclaim every precious drop, the communication dishes that maintain the fragile link to Earth, all draw from this source. Even the scientific instruments probing the moon's secrets and the rovers waiting to be recharged need this uninterrupted flow of electricity. The solution is a masterful blend of two technologies, each compensating for the other's weakness. On the high crater rims, solar panels are positioned to bask in near-perpetual sunlight, generating immense power for 14 Earth days at a time. But when the long lunar night falls, lasting another 14 days, these panels fall silent and dark. That is where the nuclear fission reactor proves its worth. Compact and incredibly reliable, it generates a steady baseload of power regardless of the environment outside, humming along through the deep cold and absolute darkness. This dual approach creates a resilient grid, a failsafe that ensures the lights never go out and the life support never falters. It is the only way to guarantee survival in a place where a single power failure could be catastrophic. With this foundation of energy secured, the stage is finally set for the most ambitious construction project in human history. The lunar outpost is more than a home. It is a factory that consumes the very ground it stands on. This is the core principle of in-situ resource utilization, a concept that completely rewrites the economics of living in space. Instead of manufacturing every single brick, every drop of water, and every breath of air on Earth and launching it at a cost of thousands of dollars per pound, we turn to the resources waiting for us on the Moon. The gray, dusty regolith beneath our feet is not barren waste. It is a raw material packed with potential. Inside its minerals are vast quantities of oxygen, chemically bound to metals like iron and silicon. Specialized processing plants, likely using intense heat or chemical reactions, will crack these minerals apart, releasing breathable oxygen into the habitat's tanks and storing the leftover metals for future manufacturing. This transforms the soil into a literal air mine. The water ice harvested from the shadows undergoes a similar metamorphosis. Through electrolysis, machines split the water into its core components, hydrogen and oxygen. These gases are not just for life support, they are the fundamental ingredients of the most common rocket propellants used today. A spacecraft needing to refuel for a journey to Mars could dock at this lunar outpost and fill its tanks, all from resources extracted on site. This turns the Moon into the first interplanetary gas station, a pivotal waypoint for the solar system. Even the leftover soil from these processes finds a purpose. It becomes the feedstock for massive 3D printers. These robotic construction crews layer the sintered regolith, fusing the dust into solid, ceramic-like walls that build the habitats themselves or pile up as protective berms against radiation. The entire operation must run with almost no human intervention. The machinery, from the autonomous ice miners to the oxygen extractors, has to be brutally robust, designed to function for years in a landscape of abrasive dust, extreme temperature swings, and constant cosmic radiation. This self-sufficiency is the ultimate goal, a system where the Moon itself provides the means for its own development. And the first physical pieces of this grand vision are already being prepared for their journey from our world to the next. The lunar dawn breaks on a landscape already alive with motion. A fleet of robotic workers moves with silent purpose across the raw regolith, their forms silhouetted against the stark black sky. These are not the humanoid robots of science fiction, but specialized machines, each a master of a single, brutal task. Autonomous bulldozers, guided by LiDAR and stereo cameras, scrape the terrain, their blades precisely leveling the ground for the first critical landing pad. They work in a choreographed dance, their paths calculated to avoid collisions and optimize every movement. Nearby, a towering robotic crane, anchored firmly to the surface, lifts and positions a prefabricated habitat module with a delicacy that belies its immense strength. The reason for this entirely robotic vanguard is simple and stark. Human labor is far too precious and far too vulnerable for this phase. The risks of exposure to cosmic radiation, the danger of flying micrometeorites, and the sheer physical toll of working in bulky spacesuits make sending people to pour concrete and weld beams unthinkable. Instead, teams of these robust machines, controlled by sophisticated artificial intelligence from mission control on Earth or a future gateway station in lunar orbit, will handle every ounce of the heavy lifting. Their endurance is born of necessity. They are engineered to withstand the Moon's most punishing conditions. Their joints are sealed against the fine, abrasive dust that grinds like powdered glass into any moving part. Their electronics are hardened against the wild temperature swings, from searing heat to deep cold, and their power systems are designed to function flawlessly in the low gravity that could destabilize a less thoughtful design. Their tasks are as varied as they are vital. Beyond grading land, they will deploy vast, roll-out solar arrays to capture the sun's energy. They will operate the massive 3D printers that transform the local soil into solid architecture. These printers work not with ink, but with concentrated sunlight or lasers, sintering the regolith layer by layer, fusing the dust into a durable, ceramic-like solid. They are, in essence, building walls from the very ground they stand on. This unsung robotic workforce is the true foundation of the entire endeavor. They are the quiet builders, the risk-takers, the ones who transform a barren, hostile plane into a prepared and waiting home. They assemble the infrastructure that will keep the first human crews safe from the moment they step out of their lander. And when their work is done, when the landing pads are firm and the habitats are sealed and pressurized, the silent outpost will finally be ready for its most important delivery. The arrival of its first residents, the first footsteps on this prepared ground, will be taken by a new kind of pioneer. These are not just astronauts, but a unique blend of scientist, engineer, and high-stress diplomat, selected for a mission unlike any other. They are chosen not only for their brilliant minds, but for their unshakable character. Each member must be a master of multiple disciplines, capable of performing a complex geological survey one moment and performing an emergency repair on the life support system the next. Yet their technical expertise is only half of the equation. Psychological resilience is the critical, invisible filter. How does a person function when home is a blue marble in the black sky, when communication with loved ones has a multi-second delay, and when the same four faces are your entire social universe for months on end? The selection process probes the deepest corners of the human psyche, seeking those who possess not just courage, but profound emotional stability, unwavering teamwork, and an almost intuitive ability to solve problems under crushing pressure and in utter isolation. Their training is a years-long marathon designed to forge them into a single, cohesive unit. They will endure months in barren analog habitats in places like the Antarctic or deep underground, environments that mirror the confinement and resource limitations of the lunar base. They will live in virtual reality, walking through every corridor and operating every console of their future home until the layout is as familiar as their own childhood house. They will practice every conceivable emergency, from a sudden drop in cabin pressure to a failure in the communication array, until their responses are automatic, a flawless dance of procedure and instinct. This first crew carries a burden beyond their personal safety. They are the architects of tradition, the ones who will write the first chapter of a permanent human culture on another world. Their every action, their method for resolving conflict, their way of celebrating a birthday millions of miles from Earth, will set the precedent for every crew that follows. Their daily existence will be a meticulously crafted symphony of work, maintenance, and conscious self-care. A typical day might begin with a medical check-up to monitor bone density, followed by several hours of analyzing geological samples in the lab. The afternoon could be dedicated to the meticulous cleaning of air filters, a mundane task that is utterly vital, followed by a mandatory session on the exercise bike to combat muscle atrophy in the low gravity. Even their leisure time is scheduled, a necessary defense against the psychological toll of their environment. They might tend to the hydroponic garden, not just for the fresh food, but for the psychological comfort of caring for living things, or they might gather for a shared meal, a ritual that reinforces their bonds as a crew and as a family. They are the human heart of this grand machine, the reason it all exists. The soft chime of an alarm greets a new lunar morning, with Earth a brilliant blue and white marble suspended in the eternal blackness outside the viewport. This breathtaking view is the first reminder that every action today is part of a larger human story. The crew member's day begins not with a leisurely breakfast, but with a systematic check of the habitat's vital signs, a ritual as crucial as breathing. They review air composition, water recycling rates, and power levels from the hybrid solar and nuclear grid, confirming the machines that keep them alive are functioning perfectly. A scheduled communication window with mission control follows, a brief but vital link to home where data is exchanged and updates are received, though the several-second delay in conversation imposes a slow, deliberate pace to every dialogue. Soon after, the most demanding part of the day arrives, the preparation for an extravehicular activity. Donning the pressurized suit is a complex, multi-step ritual performed with a partner, a meticulous check of every seal and connection that transforms a human into a self-contained spacecraft. Stepping through the airlock is a transition into a realm of absolute silence and stark beauty. Outside, the work is physical and profound. A crew member might use specialized tools to scrape a stubborn layer of abrasive dust from a solar panel, restoring its power output, or carefully collect a core sample of regolith from a site identified months earlier by a robotic scout. Every movement in the bulky suit is a conscious effort, a slow-motion ballet where a misplaced tool could drift away into the void. The afternoon shifts the focus inward to the science that justifies the entire endeavor. Inside the pressurized laboratory, geological samples are placed under microscopes and spectrometers, their mineral compositions revealing chapters of the solar system's history. In the adjacent hydroponics bay, the air is humid and smells of life. Tending to the plants is more than horticulture, it is a psychological anchor. Checking nutrient levels and harvesting leafy greens provides a sensory connection to Earth and a tangible result from the daily labor. As the artificial evening cycle begins, the crew gathers for a shared meal, a time for decompression and camaraderie. But the day is not over. The low gravity, 1/6 of Earth's, is a constant thief of bone density and muscle mass. A mandatory session on the specialized exercise equipment is non-negotiable, a grueling countermeasure against the body's own tendency to weaken in this alien environment. This entire intricate routine, from the first system check to the last pedal stroke, is a symphony of purpose. Every task, no matter how small, is a thread in the fabric sustaining human presence on another world. And this fragile existence is entirely dependent on a supply chain that stretches across 250,000 miles of empty space. A pressurized rover's cabin offers a sanctuary of Earth normal air and temperature, a tiny pocket of home as it rolls across the alien landscape. Inside, astronauts work in comfort, free from the exhausting bulk of their spacesuits for days at a time. These vehicles are far more than simple transports. They are mobile command centers, complete with sleeping bunks, a small galley, and a fully equipped laboratory. This allows a small crew to embark on scientific traverses lasting weeks, venturing far from the central base to investigate a distant crater or a unique geological formation. The rover's range is not measured in mere kilometers, but in scientific possibilities, unlocking access to the entire South Pole region from a single, secure location. When the crew does need to step outside, they will rely on a new generation of spacesuits engineered to correct the frustrations of the past. The Apollo suits were famously stiff and cumbersome, but these new designs move with the wearer. Articulated joints at the shoulders, hips, and knees provide a near-natural range of motion, allowing an astronaut to kneel down to examine a rock sample or reach up to service equipment without fighting against the suit's own pressure. The greatest enemy, however, is the lunar dust itself. This regolith is not like earthly dirt. It is composed of tiny, glass shard-like particles that are electrostatically charged and cling to everything. The new suits feature advanced materials and dust-repelling coatings, creating a barrier against this abrasive contaminant to keep it from fouling seals and mechanisms, and most importantly, from being tracked back into the clean habitat atmosphere. This combination of rolling laboratory and agile personal suit creates a perfect system for exploration. The rover carries the crew and their tools deep into the field, serving as a home base, while the suits give them the dexterity to perform delicate work outside. They can deploy seismometers to listen for moonquakes, drill deep core samples, or assemble a new radio telescope array with precision. Every sample collected, every instrument placed, adds another piece to the puzzle of our solar system's history. The data these missions generate becomes the lunar base's most valuable export, a constant stream of discovery beamed back to scientists on Earth. This expanding reach transforms the outpost from a solitary foothold into the central node of a sprawling operational network, a hub of activity whose influence stretches across the cratered plains. The true wealth of the lunar South Pole is not merely the water we can use, but the ancient story it preserves. Locked within that pristine ice is a record of violence and creation, a chronicle of the comets and asteroids that pummeled the inner solar system over billions of years. Scientists will analyze this ice like detectives at a cosmic crime scene, searching for isotopic signatures that reveal where these celestial bodies originated. The answer could solve one of our oldest mysteries. Did these impacts deliver the very water that fills our oceans and enabled life to begin on Earth? The permanently shadowed craters are more than just ice lockers. They are the coldest freezers in the solar system. In their profound and constant chill, they may have trapped samples of the ancient solar wind, particles streaming from the sun that hold a pristine record of our star's fiery youth. They could even contain volatile compounds, fragile gases from the dawn of the solar system that were long ago lost from the warmer, more active planets. This makes the Moon a unique library with its archives perfectly preserved in the deep cold. But the scientific bonanza extends far beyond the ground beneath their feet. The Moon offers an unparalleled platform for looking outward into the depths of the cosmos. On the far side, permanently shielded from the cacophony of Earth's radio transmissions, a new generation of radio telescopes could listen to the faint whispers of the universe. They could peer into the cosmic dark ages, the mysterious epoch before the first stars and galaxies ignited, detecting the faint radio signals from that primordial hydrogen. This would be like lifting a veil on the very beginning of structure in the universe. This relentless pursuit of fundamental knowledge is the ultimate justification for the immense effort and risk. Yet this entire enterprise, from the data collected by a telescope to the analysis of a billion-year-old ice core, depends on a fragile, invisible thread, a constant and reliable stream of information flowing across the quarter-million-mile gulf back to Earth. That constant, silent hum of data flowing back to Earth is the lunar base's true lifeline. Every breath of recycled air, every tremor of a moonquake recorded, and every personal message from home travels across this invisible bridge spanning 250,000 miles. This is not the simple communication of the Apollo era. It is a robust, high-bandwidth network that must function as reliably as a utility on Earth. The base generates a torrent of information, from live video feeds of geological surveys to complex medical telemetry monitoring the crew's health in real time. To handle this ceaseless flow, a constellation of dedicated satellites will circle the Moon, acting as celestial relay stations. These orbital sentinels ensure that no matter how the Moon rotates, at least one is always in view of both the base and our planet, creating an unbreakable link. This constant connection is a psychological anchor as much as a technical one. The ability for a crew member to see their family's face on a screen, to share a story from their day despite the slight delay, is a powerful defense against the profound isolation of their environment. It reminds them that they are not alone, that an entire planet is watching, supporting, and willing them to succeed. Even the short time lag, just over 1 second for a signal to make the round trip, becomes a familiar rhythm of conversation, a slight pause that teaches patience and deliberate speech. For mission control, this link is their window into the outpost, allowing engineers to monitor system performance and scientists to guide research, all with near real-time awareness. It transforms the lunar base from an isolated outpost into an extension of humanity itself, a distant room in our collective home where the most daring experiments are underway. A simple dental cavity on the moon could become a life-threatening crisis. This is the stark reality of medicine in a place where a medical evacuation is simply not an option. The lunar base's medical bay is therefore more than a clinic. It is a self-contained fortress of health, a place where the crew must be prepared to handle any emergency from a sutured cut to a complex surgical procedure, all guided by the calm, delayed voice of a specialist on Earth. Telemedicine is the cornerstone of this capability. High-definition cameras and robotic tools allow a surgeon in Houston to talk a crew member through a delicate operation in near real time, their hands guided by augmented reality overlays that appear directly in the crew medic's visor. Every piece of equipment, from a dental drill to an ultrasound machine, is designed for simplicity and robustness, capable of functioning perfectly in the low gravity that can alter how fluids behave and how instruments feel in the hand. Yet the most insidious health threats are not the sudden emergencies, but the slow, creeping changes to the human body itself. We know that in the microgravity of the International Space Station, astronauts lose bone density at a rate of about 1% per month, and their muscles atrophy despite a rigorous exercise schedule. But the moon's 1/6 gravity is a mystery. Is it enough to stave off the worst of these effects, or does it present a new, unique set of challenges we have not yet anticipated? The cardiovascular system, accustomed to fighting Earth's gravity to pump blood upward, may become lazy, leading to a dangerous drop in blood pressure upon a crew's eventual return home. Perhaps most worryingly, some astronauts on long-duration missions have experienced vision changes, a shift in the pressure of fluid around the brain that subtly alters the shape of the eyeball. Understanding these long-term physiological changes is not just an academic exercise. It is absolutely critical for planning any future mission to Mars, where gravity is different yet again. The primary defense against this slow decay is a relentless, non-negotiable regimen of countermeasures. Crews will spend hours each day on specialized resistance machines and treadmills, their bodies harnessed to simulate the pull of Earth, fighting to trick their physiology into maintaining its strength. Nutrition is precisely calibrated, with exact portions of calcium and vitamin D to support bone health, all monitored by regular blood and urine tests. For the future, more radical solutions are on the drawing board, like a small centrifuge module where crew members can spend time spinning to experience the sensation of full Earth gravity, a brief but vital reset for their bodies. Every heartbeat and every breath in this fragile outpost is a data point in humanity's greatest ongoing medical study. The crew are both caretakers and test subjects, their daily health meticulously tracked to write the medical textbook for living on other worlds. Their well-being is intrinsically tied to the health of their environment, a closed system where the greatest danger could be a microscopic invader from Earth. A single earthly microbe carried in a speck of dust on a spacesuit could unravel a billion-year-old mystery. This profound responsibility now guides every action at the lunar outpost, where planetary protection is not just a policy, but a core ethical principle. The primary goal is to prevent forward contamination, the accidental introduction of Earth life to the lunar environment. Why does this matter so deeply? Because if we were to discover organic molecules or even fossilized evidence of ancient life in the moon's pristine ice, we must be absolutely certain we are not just finding the germs we brought with us. To achieve this, the protocols are uncompromising. All waste from the habitat, from food packaging to human waste, is not simply dumped. It is meticulously sterilized, sealed in robust containers, and either stored for eventual return to Earth or disposed of in a manner that ensures no biological material can escape into the environment. The handling of lunar samples is equally rigorous. Rocks and ice cores destined for Earth's laboratories are sealed within multiple layers of containment, their integrity maintained from the moment they are collected until they are delivered into the hands of waiting scientists. Access to the most scientifically precious sites, the very water ice deposits we came to use, requires the strictest precautions. Astronauts visiting these areas may use specialized sterile tools and undergo decontamination procedures before and after their work, treating these zones with the same care we would a sterile operating room. This is not merely about science, it is about respect. The Moon is not a blank slate for our exploitation. It is the common heritage of all humanity, a world with its own history and value. The ethical framework we establish here, one of stewardship and preservation, will set the critical precedent for our future interactions with Mars and beyond. It is a declaration that as we expand into the cosmos, we will do so as careful guests, not reckless conquerors. This careful, sustainable approach must also be reflected in the very economic model that keeps the lights on and the air flowing. The lifeblood of this entire endeavor flows from a complex and evolving economic heart. While the initial vision and immense capital come from national space agencies, the lunar base cannot remain a government-funded project forever. Its long-term survival depends on a fundamental shift, a transition from a purely scientific outpost to a thriving mixed economy where commerce and discovery fuel each other. This new lunar economy will be built on a foundation of commercial contracts. Private companies could be hired not just to deliver cargo, but to operate the very infrastructure of survival. Imagine a corporation running the In-Situ resource utilization plant, selling purified water and breathable oxygen to the base as a utility service. Another firm might specialize in maintaining the fleet of pressurized rovers, treating them as a lunar rental car service for scientific traverses. The most transformative possibility, however, lies in opening the airlock to new kinds of visitors. Private sector researchers from pharmaceutical companies could pay to conduct experiments in the low-gravity environment, potentially developing new crystal structures for life-saving drugs. And one day, the ultimate commercial frontier will open: space tourism, where private citizens could experience the breathtaking view of Earth from another world. This creates a powerful virtuous cycle. Every commercial dollar invested in lunar services helps to lower the overall operational costs for the government space agencies. A cheaper cost per mission means NASA and its partners can launch more science expeditions with the same budget, which in turn expands the lunar infrastructure and creates even more commercial opportunities. This model is not science fiction. We have seen this exact playbook before. The early internet was a creation of government-funded research, a network called ARPANET designed for academic and military communication. It was the decision to open this infrastructure to commercial traffic that unleashed a global revolution, giving us everything from e-commerce to social media. The lunar base is poised for a similar transformation, shifting from a closed government project to an open platform for human ingenuity. The success of this economic transition is what will ultimately unlock the next phase of construction, moving beyond basic survival modules to dedicated manufacturing facilities and even astronomical observatories funded by international consortia. This commercial energy will be the engine that propels the base from a foothold into a true settlement. The outpost's expansion begins with the quiet hum of new machinery, a sound that signals a profound shift from survival to industry. This second phase transforms the base from a cluster of modules into a sprawling village, its growth guided by a single, powerful principle. The goal is no longer just to sustain a handful of pioneers, but to build an economy that can sustain itself. New structures rise from the Regolith, not just more crew quarters, but specialized modules for materials science, low-gravity pharmaceuticals, and advanced astronomy. The heart of this expansion, however, beats within the industrial sector. The small-scale ice processing pilot plant is replaced by a full-scale refinery, a factory that runs day and night. Its primary product shifts from simply supporting the base to fueling the future. It begins producing vast quantities of liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen, the super-cold propellants that power rockets. These tanks are not just for the local landers that shuttle to and from orbit. Their true purpose is to fill the tanks of interplanetary spacecraft, the vessels bound for Mars and beyond, which can now use the Moon as a refueling depot. This is the birth of the cislunar economy. Why launch all the fuel for a 2-year mission from the bottom of Earth's deep gravity well when you can produce it on the Moon and send it up from a much weaker gravitational pull? The savings are monumental, turning the Moon from a destination into a central hub for the entire inner solar system. This industrial scale-up demands more than just machines. It requires a new kind of society. With dozens, then hundreds of residents from multiple nations and private companies, the informal understanding among the first crew is no longer sufficient. How are disputes resolved when they involve different corporate entities? How are resources allocated when one company owns the water extraction equipment and another needs its output? A more formal structure of governance must emerge, a lunar constitution of sorts. This framework will establish rules for safety, define property rights for extracted resources, and create a system for collective decision-making. It is the messy, necessary work of building not just a base, but a community, laying the legal and social foundation for humanity's first true foothold on another world. This new community will need a shared set of rules to function, a simple but vital social contract for the void. With dozens of people from different nations and corporate entities living in pressurized cans, the old way of doing things, where a single mission commander had ultimate authority, must evolve. The solution will likely be a rotating council composed of the senior leaders from each major partner agency and company. This isn't about creating a lunar parliament with endless debate, but a practical committee for making swift, fair decisions on common issues. How do you allocate extra power from the solar array when 2 different science teams need it for their experiments? What is the procedure if a rover from one nation accidentally damages equipment owned by a private company? These are not hypotheticals, they are the daily friction of a frontier society, and they require clear, pre-established protocols that everyone agrees to follow. This governance extends into the very legal foundation of their activities. The Outer Space Treaty states that no nation can claim sovereignty over the Moon, but it says nothing about a company owning the oxygen it extracts from the soil or the intellectual property of a new alloy manufactured in low gravity. The Artemis Accords begin to fill these gaps, creating a framework for safety zones and transparent operations. Yet, as the base grows, more detailed agreements will be necessary, covering everything from liability for accidents to the legal ownership of a unique discovery. This lunar legal code will be written one precedent at a time, setting the stage for how commerce and law will function throughout the solar system. Beyond the written rules, the invisible social fabric of the community will be its true strength or its greatest vulnerability. Psychologists will study this isolated group with intense interest. observing how trust is built and conflict is resolved when there is no option to leave. The rituals they create, from shared meals to communal movie nights, become the glue that holds them together. Their success will provide a priceless blueprint, teaching us how to build not just habitats but healthy, functioning societies on Mars and beyond. This social experiment is as critical as any engineering test, for it will determine whether humanity can truly thrive far from home. A successful lunar base is the one single factor that could make a mission to Mars not just possible but probable. The Moon is our ultimate training ground, a place to rehearse for the most ambitious journey in human history, just a short 3-day trip from emergency assistance. Every system we master on the Moon directly translates to the Martian frontier. The closed-loop life support that recycles air and water for a crew of 4 on the Moon can be scaled up for a crew of 6 on a 2-year mission to Mars. The techniques for extracting water from lunar ice will be the very same technology used to tap the frozen reservoirs beneath the Martian soil. Even the act of navigating and conducting geology in a bulky spacesuit on the cratered plains is the perfect dress rehearsal for exploring the vast canyons and dried riverbeds of the Red Planet. The Moon offers a crucial, unforgiving, yet accessible environment to fail safely. If a new rover design breaks down or a water purifier clogs, engineers can diagnose the problem and send a replacement part within weeks. On a mission to Mars, a similar failure could be catastrophic, with the crew over a year away from any possible help. This process of testing, failing, and refining in our cosmic backyard de-risks the entire Martian endeavor. It builds the operational confidence that we can not only send people to another world, but keep them alive and productive there for years. This long-term vision for interplanetary travel forces us to consider the ultimate legacy of the base itself. Will it remain a small scientific outpost, or could it one day evolve into something far grander? A child watching a live feed from the lunar base sees an astronaut's gloved hand pick up a gray rock, and in that moment, the entire cosmos feels within reach. This connection is the project's most profound and lasting legacy, a spark that will ignite countless futures. The base will not be a distant, abstract idea, but a living, breathing presence in our daily lives. Students will tune into live question and answer sessions with crew members, watching experiments unfold in real time. They will slip on virtual reality headsets and stand on the simulated surface, their own hands guiding a virtual rover across the regolith. This immersive access transforms space exploration from a chapter in a history book into a dynamic, ongoing human story, making the dream of becoming an astronaut or engineer feel tangible and achievable for any child, anywhere. That inspiration is the true fuel for our long-term future. The challenges of building on Mars or mining an asteroid will be solved by the very children who watched this lunar outpost being built, their career paths chosen by the wonder they felt. This global classroom fosters something even greater than scientific literacy. It cultivates a shared sense of purpose. For the first time since the Apollo missions, humanity has a collective goal that transcends earthly borders, a monumental undertaking that reminds us of what we can accomplish not as competing nations, but as a cooperative species united by curiosity and ambition. The legacy of this base is measured not only in the oxygen it produces or the scientific papers it generates, but in the millions of young minds it sets ablaze with possibility, ensuring the next giant leap is always followed by another. The silent, invisible rain is the most persistent danger a lunar resident will never see or feel. This is the reality of radiation beyond Earth's protective magnetic bubble, a constant bath of high-energy particles from distant supernova and our own sun. Galactic cosmic rays are the background threat, incredibly energetic atomic nuclei piercing through matter with ease. More sporadically, but far more intensely, solar particle events unleash torrents of protons from solar storms, requiring immediate shelter. The solution is not a single barrier but a layered defense, starting with the most abundant material available, the Moon itself. Burying the habitat modules under several meters of regolith is the cornerstone of passive shielding. It is a simple, brute force approach, using the weight of the world above you as a cosmic umbrella. Think of it as building your home inside a vast, natural bunker. Another passive method integrates the very substance of life into the walls, creating compartments filled with water. Since water is rich in hydrogen, it is exceptionally good at disrupting and absorbing radiation, turning the walls themselves into a protective barrier that also serves as a strategic reserve. But for the truly long term, especially for surface vehicles or larger structures, engineers are dreaming of a more elegant solution: active shielding. This futuristic concept would generate a localized magnetic field around a habitat or rover, a miniature version of Earth's magnetosphere that gently deflects the incoming charged particles away from the crew. While still in development, this technology could one day allow for greater mobility and larger, more open living spaces on the surface. Every minute of exposure is meticulously tracked by personal dosimeters, and the data gathered is priceless. It tells us not just how to build safer habitats on the Moon, but exactly what level of protection we will need for the years-long journey to Mars, where the radiation environment is even more severe. Conquering this invisible frontier is the non-negotiable foundation for a permanent existence in space. That fine gray layer covering every surface is far more than a simple nuisance. Lunar dust is a jagged, glass-like substance forged by eons of micrometeorite impacts, and its properties make it a uniquely dangerous adversary. Without wind or water to smooth its edges, each particle remains a sharp, miniature shard. To make matters worse, it becomes electrostatically charged by the relentless solar wind, causing it to levitate and cling to every surface with a stubborn, almost magnetic attraction. This dust is so abrasive it can grind down mechanical joints, cloud camera lenses, and slowly degrade the vital seals around airlock doors. If tracked inside the habitat, it becomes a respiratory hazard, with tiny, sharp particles capable of damaging lung tissue if inhaled over time. Even the toughest spacesuit fabrics can eventually be worn thin by its constant, sandpaper-like friction. The entire outpost is designed as a multi-layered fortress against this invasive grit. The first line of defense is the airlock itself, which acts not just as a pressure chamber but as a decontamination zone. Before the inner hatch opens, astronauts might pass through a powerful electrostatic field where charged plates pull the dust from their suits. Alternatively, systems could use targeted blasts of carbon dioxide gas to literally blow the particles away, scouring the surfaces clean. Every external piece of equipment, from solar panels to rover wheels, will be treated with advanced dust-resistant coatings. These are not simple non-stick surfaces. They are complex materials engineered at a molecular level to offer as little purchase as possible to the clinging particles, causing them to slide off with minimal effort. Inside, the war continues with rigorous cleaning protocols. Specialized vacuum systems designed to handle the fine, staticky dust will be used to clean suits and tools before they are fully brought into the living quarters. This relentless daily battle against dust is a perfect example of a seemingly small challenge that, if ignored, could bring the entire enterprise to a grinding halt. It reminds us that the grandest visions of exploration often hinge on solving the most mundane yet persistent problems. Every discarded food package and every piece of scrap material holds a hidden potential. In the ultimate closed-loop system of the lunar base, the very concept of trash is redefined. There is no garbage truck to haul it away, no landfill to bury it in. Every single gram of material that arrives from Earth at a cost of thousands of dollars per pound must be stretched to its absolute limit. Non-recyclable solid waste, the truly stubborn leftovers, does not get ejected into the void. Instead, it is meticulously compacted into dense bricks. These blocks of compressed refuse are not just stored, they are strategically repurposed, stacked around the outer walls of the habitat or used to build protective berms. This waste becomes a valuable component of the radiation shielding, adding another layer of defense with material that would otherwise be useless. This is the first principle of lunar living. There is no away. Organic waste follows an even more transformative path. Food scraps and human waste are not seen as filth, but as a vital reservoir of nutrients and water. They are fed into advanced processing systems, essentially high-tech composters that operate in a vacuum-sealed environment. These processors use a combination of heat, microbes, and chemical treatment to break down the material, killing any pathogens and recovering every possible drop of water through vaporization and condensation. The resulting nutrient-rich slurry is not waste. It is liquid fertilizer, carefully reintroduced to the hydroponic gardens to nourish the next generation of plants. This creates a beautiful, closed cycle where yesterday's meal literally becomes tomorrow's harvest. The ultimate goal is a near-total recycling rate, a system where the only things truly consumed are the energy from the sun and the knowledge gained. This hyper-efficiency is not just a technical achievement, it is a masterclass in sustainability that could revolutionize how we manage resources back on our own planet. The lessons learned in squeezing every ounce of value from a limited supply could inform new approaches to circular economies on Earth, turning our own waste streams into valuable resources. This relentless, elegant efficiency is the final piece of the puzzle, the discipline that will allow the base to endure its isolation and ultimately blossom into a thriving, self-sustaining settlement. The calm hum of machinery can shift to the blare of an alarm in a single heartbeat, a sudden power fluctuation, a pressure sensor reading zero, a crew member's vital signs spiking. These are the moments every simulation has prepared them for. In the void, a crisis is not a possibility, it is a certainty, and survival hinges on a culture of relentless preparation. Every critical system on the base is designed with backups for its backups. If one oxygen generator fails, another immediately takes over. If a primary power bus shorts out, the grid automatically reroutes electricity through a redundant pathway. The entire outpost is a web of these fail-safes, ensuring that no single point of failure can doom the crew. Tucked away in a hardened shelter, always fueled and prepped, sits the ultimate contingency, an ascent vehicle. This is their lifeboat, a guaranteed ticket back to the orbiting gateway station and ultimately home, should the base become uninhabitable. It is a silent promise that no one will ever be truly stranded. But reaching that vehicle is a last resort. The first and most powerful defense is the crew itself. They have spent years drilling for these exact scenarios in high-fidelity simulators on Earth, their muscles and minds conditioned to react with precision under soul-crushing stress. They practice sealing a punctured module, executing emergency medical procedures guided by telemedicine, and rebooting the main computer from a backup. Their training transforms panic into procedure and fear into focused action. This ingrained resilience, the ability to function as a single, calm organism in the face of disaster, is the final, unbreakable layer of the outpost's defenses. It is this deep-seated preparedness, more than any piece of machinery, that finally crosses the threshold, turning a daring experiment in survival into a durable and enduring home. The view from a lunar kitchen window will forever alter the human psyche. An astronaut preparing a meal will glance up and see the Earth, a brilliant blue and white marble hanging in the blackness, a sight that is no longer a fleeting image from a historic mission but the daily backdrop to life. This constant, living presence of our entire world in the sky will become the most powerful tool for environmental awareness ever created. It makes abstract concepts like global unity and planetary stewardship immediate and visceral. When you can cover your home planet with your thumb, the arbitrary lines of borders vanish, reinforcing that we all share a single, fragile biosphere suspended in the void. This perspective is the ultimate catalyst for a new kind of global citizenship, one born not from treaties, but from the shared experience of looking back at our common home from a new one. The philosophical shift is even more profound. For the first time, a child will be born into a reality where humanity naturally exists on two worlds. This simple fact shatters an ancient paradigm, moving us from being a single planet species to a multi-planetary civilization. It forces us to confront fundamental questions about our destiny. Are we meant to remain confined to our cradle, or is our purpose to spread life and consciousness outward? The lunar base becomes a physical argument for a cosmic human future. Yet this expansion comes with a deep and sobering responsibility. Our approach to the moon sets the ethical template for all worlds to come. The rigorous planetary protection protocols, the careful waste management, the very act of building in harmony with the environment rather than simply exploiting it. All of this establishes a new code of conduct for humanity as a galactic species. We are learning to be good guests in the universe. This endeavor, therefore, is far more than a collection of technological marvels. It is a cultural and philosophical milestone that will resonate for centuries, reshaping our identity from the ground up. It reminds us that the grandest challenges are undertaken not just to see if we can, but to discover who we become in the process. Building the first permanent human base on the moon is far more than an engineering marvel. It is the defining endeavor of a generation. This monumental project stands as a testament to human ingenuity, boundless collaboration, and an unquenchable thirst for exploration that has always defined our species. We have journeyed together from the initial discovery of precious water ice in the eternal shadows, through the immense challenges of constructing habitats and creating closed-loop systems that mimic our own biosphere, to the profound daily reality of human survival in the void. We have seen how this outpost will become a factory consuming the very ground it stands on, a scientific laboratory unlocking the solar system's history, and a social experiment forging a new community under the stars. This lunar foothold is the crucial, non-negotiable first step off our planetary cradle. It is the essential training ground, the technological proving ground, and the logistical springboard that will catapult us to Mars and the stars that lie beyond. This entire endeavor proves a profound and beautiful truth, that when we dare to dream collectively, when we pool our knowledge and resolve across nations, no horizon is truly beyond our reach. This story is not a conclusion, but an invitation extended directly to you. Follow this journey as it unfolds, support the science that makes it possible, and share in the wonder with everyone you know. For this is not merely a mission or the ambition of any single nation. It is humanity's next great chapter, and you have a front row seat. We are all part of this story. Subscribe to stay updated on every incredible milestone, and share your own thoughts on our future in the cosmos in the comments below. The next page is waiting to be written.